Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and Mrs. Laura Bush.
Thank you all. Please be seated. Thanks for coming. And welcome to the White House. Laura and I really appreciate you coming to join us today to celebrate Black Music Month. And we're glad you're here. Our jazz masters and students from the Jazz in the New Generation program will perform for us soon. And we thank them for being here as well. I think you're going to like it. It's actually one of the great advantages of being the president is you get some great musicians to play for you in your living room. We want to thank Dana Gioia for coming. He's the chairman of the National Endowment of Arts and is doing a fine job. I appreciate you being here. I see members of my cabinet who are here. Secretary of Agriculture Ann Veneman is joining us. Thank you, Ann, for coming. And the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Alfonso Jackson, and his wife, Marcia. Appreciate you both being here. I want to thank Congressman Chris Shays from the great state of Connecticut for joining us. Thank you. And thank you for bringing Laura back safely last night. I appreciate Bill Coleman, the former Secretary of Transportation under Gerald Ford, for joining us today. Mr. Secretary, thank you for coming. I want to thank Dr. Billy Taylor, Jazz Master 1988, and the Billy Taylor Trio for being here today. Thank you all for coming. Honored you're here. I want to thank Jazz Master 2004, Chico Hamilton, for joining us today. Thank you for coming. James Moody, Jazz Master 1998. Thank you for coming. Appreciate you coming. Of course, Jazz in the New Generation students who will be introduced shortly. I appreciate David Baker, Jazz Master 2000, for joining us as well. Proud you're being here. During this month, we recognize the great contribution that black music has made to the culture of our nation and to the world. This music could only have come from the unique experience of African Americans, yet it speaks to every human heart. Black music in America began with spiritual songs that bore witness to the cruelty of bondage and the strength of faith. From those roots, it grew into a variety of styles: jazz and gospel, rhythm and blues, and rock and roll. All these forms capture a part of the American spirit. It's impossible to imagine American music without Louis Armstrong and Duke Ellington, Mahalia Jackson and Billie Holiday, Lionel Hampton or B.B. King, Stevie Wonder and Aretha Franklin, and countless others. It's just impossible to imagine American music without them, isn't it? Recently, we've lost two of our greatest African-American musicians. Last month, the celebrated jazz drummer Elvin Jones passed away. He was the fiery pulse of John Coltrane's quartet. Elvin Jones loved music so much that rather than spend his last days in the hospital, he brought an oxygen tank on stage with him so he could keep amazing his audiences until the very end. And just days ago, we said goodbye to another American original, Ray Charles. He was often called the father of soul music, but his music embraced every style and transcended every label. It takes a great talent to make a song forever your own. And no one hears George on My Mind or Hit the Road Jack without thinking of Ray Charles. When he was 15, his mother Aretha told him just before her death, "You might not be able to do things like a person who can see, But there are always two ways to do everything, and you just got to find the other way. Well, Ray Charles found the other way, a beautiful way, and it was our privilege to witness it. Though an older generation leaves us, their legacy lives on in many talented young African-American musicians of today. Gospel singers like Kirk Franklin and Yolanda Adams, I might add, both from Texas. Bright jazz talents like Roy Hargrove, Mark Turner, Joshua Redman. Pop artists like Alicia Keys. And of course, there's a Marseille brother for just about every instrument. These performers and many others carried forward the tradition of black music in our country. We take great pride in this heritage. We're grateful to every musician who keeps that heritage so rich and so vital today. And so I've signed a proclamation designating June 2004 as Black Music Month in the United States of America. It's a way we honor this important part of our heritage. I'm going to turn things over now to the chairman of the National Endowment of Arts, Dana Gioia, who will tell us about the Jazz Masters program and introduce our performers. Before he comes up here, I want you to know that he jokes he's the only person ever to have gone to Stanford Business School to become a poet. He can explain that for himself. He's doing a great job as the NEA chairman. Welcome, Dana Gioia.
It is a wonderful occasion for the National Endowment for the Arts to be in the White House in the company of the President and the First Lady, as well as distinguished members of the Cabinet and the U.S. Congress, to honor jazz as part of Black Music Month. Jazz is not only one of the great art forms of the modern age, it is also a distinctively American art, a unique fusion of musical elements from Africa, Europe, and the Caribbean that could only have happened in a society as diverse, innovative, and inclusive as the United States. Jazz is still a young art. Born in New Orleans slightly over a century ago, it traveled up the Mississippi and then across America. Within decades, jazz had won audiences across the world. And wherever jazz went, it proclaimed the same message of freedom and creativity. The human purposes of art are to give joy, wisdom, and consolation, to enlarge and refine what it means to be alive. The art of jazz does all this with rapturous abandon. What the poet Philip Larkin said about one great jazz musician is true of the entire art. On me your voice falls, as they say love should, like an enormous yes. That enormous yes would be justification enough for any art. But jazz has also played an invaluable public role in American history. Throughout the 20th century, the irresistible, inclusive joy of jazz made Americans of every race recognize their common humanity. This art did as much as any political initiative to bring the races together in America. Over the past 21 years, the NEA Jazz Masters Fellowships have come to be recognized as the greatest honor in jazz. A Lifetime Achievement Award, it is given only to consummate artists who have had a major and enduring impact on the field. Today, we are fortunate to have 4 NEA Jazz Masters in our midst: David Baker, Chico Hamilton, James Moody, and Billy Taylor, 3 of whom will perform this afternoon. The Billy Taylor Trio, which also features Chip Jackson on bass and Winard Harper on drums, will start off our program. Chico Hamilton will perform a drum solo, and the program will conclude with James Moody on saxophone, accompanied by the Billy Taylor Trio. But the program will also highlight another contribution of the NEA Jazz Masters. Mr. Taylor, Hamilton, Baker, and Moody all have something in common beside being jazz greats. They are passionate teachers who understand the responsibility and privilege of passing on their art to the next generation. Today, we will hear some of the remarkable students Dr. Taylor has mentored at the Kennedy Center, starting with the vocalist Dion Taylor, and including Elder John Giroff, Philip Keene, Matt Marantz, Kaylee Monahan Ward, and vocalist Crystal Torres. These students, who first heard the call of jazz in Pennsylvania and Texas, in Saskatchewan and the Soviet Union, testify to the power of art to speak across languages and cultures. Jazz is not just American music. Like the idea of freedom, it is one of our nation's great gifts to the world.
Today, it's my honor and privilege to be performing with Dr. Billy Taylor and his trio, especially here at the wonderful White House. We're going to be performing one of Dr. Taylor's original tunes right now. If you really are concerned, then show it.
If you really are concerned, then show it. If you really to help, you can. If you lend a helping hand to struggling people closest to you, you can make a different world. If you really are concerned, then speak up. You can demonstrate your point of view. But you better start right now by making changes while you're able, if you want to change the world. It's easy to sit on the sidelines, to ask, what can one person do? But each person has something special to give, and no one can give it for you. If you really are concerned, then show it. If you really want to help, you can. But you better start right now by making changes while you're able, or your world will disappear. Special to give, and no one can give it for you. If you really are concerned, then show it. If you really want to help, you can. But you better start right now by making changes while you're able, or your world will disappear.
Hello everybody. We're going to do a Billy Taylor original entitled Conversion.
Cole Porter once said, "The beat, beat, beat of the tom-tom." And Duke Ellington said, "It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing."
Testing. Could you turn the mic up higher, please? Testing one. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled for two reasons. And the first reason is that I'm here at the White House with President Bush and Mrs. Bush, and it's a gas. The second reason is 3 more payments and this will be mine. Sweet Georgia Brown.